Ladies and gentlemen, MrCropper here, being joined by New Intellectual and Onar, and we're going to be discussing some concerns that New Intellectual has about stuff that has been said with regards to objectivism and religion. Is that a fair appraisal of your concerns?
Yes.
All right. Now, we've been saying, if I could just summarize real quickly, Onar has said that there are some parallels between religion and objectivism. Is that fair, Onar?
Some parallels. Yeah.
Some parallels. Now, what do you take issue with that we've said, or that Onar is trying to convince me of, I think, really?
Well, the issue I take is that you guys are presenting, not you guys, not MrCropper, you were just listening to Onar, but Onar was presenting religion, religious language, and mixing it with the objectivist philosophy. This is the issue that I take.
Like saying that God is existence?
Yes, and mixing God with existence, and then saying that faith is equal to certainty. Having faith is basically knowing reality in a full certain sense.
It's very worrisome.
Yeah.
It's a very worrisome.
Using mystical language, woo-woo language and saying that, well, we can incorporate it in objectivist philosophy. Now, I know his intention is to convert Christians and Muslims to objectivism, but I think it won't work because I'm an example. I was religious. I had those narratives with me, and I converted to objectivism because I just saw the principles, and I said, well, this is true. This is actually a reality, and what I hold, what my beliefs are not true. They're not true to reality. So I dismissed it. I discarded the religion. I didn't have to say, well, Allah is existence, and what we know is through faith, iman, all the other mystical nonsense.
Yeah. Now,
yeah. I didn't mix it up.
I think I did bring up this this topic with Onar when I said that at some point faith makes you ignore reality. So saying that faith means reality is not quite accurate. So
yeah, because having faith is basically dismissing evidence. It's not the same thing as being certain of something. It's just turning off your reasoning faculties, turning off your sensory-based data, and just saying, well, I believe in this because I have faith.
Now, it just looks to me like the religious people use faith to mean don't think for yourself, stick to the tried and true traditions.
Yes.
So they use faith to keep you from trying crazy untried things. Just stick with what works.
Yes, stick with the traditions, stick with the group.
So that's not nihilism, really.
Well, it is, because it's a form of nihilism, because you are not allowing people to think for themselves. You are just putting people, not putting them, but you're just making these people follow one person or a tradition and sacrificing their minds.
So it is destructive.
Yeah.
It's destructive of individualism.
Yeah, and it's a destructive of individualism. And not everyone who has faith is nihilist. Some people have faith because they never got the alternative. They probably are ignorant. So they turn to the most intelligent of their communities, or the learned people whom they trust, and they're the nihilists. They know what is reality, and they basically lead them astray. So those scholars, those mystics, those are the people who are actually the nihilists. I consider them.
All right.
Not necessarily everyone who has faith is nihilist, but having faith is kind of a nihilism too.
Now you're familiar with Islam. Can you not see any parallels in Islam? Is there nothing in Islam you see that advises actually good behavior?
Yeah. There is a lot of good virtues. I would even say Islam is better than Christianity, in the sense that I would say that Islam, not better, but I would.
That would be a wild.
It has a strong moral. Yeah, it has a strong moral theory. I mean, it does not. It's not saying turn the other cheek as a command. It's basically, it does practice. It does practice self-sacrifice. That's why you can see
For sure.
jihad going on and all the other wars going on.
But turn the other cheek isn't a central principle, you said.
It isn't just the central principle. It's basically winning the war is the central. So,
can I ask Onar, do you see very much space between your view and his view?
I do.
You're very quiet, by the way. If you could speak a little louder.
All right. I'm not so happy about expanding the concept of nihilism to include pretty much like an M2 type religion system. Nihilism has an actual meaning, and I understand what you're trying to convey here, but I think nihilism is not the right term. Also, I'm less familiar with Islam than I'm with Christianity, and my comments have specifically been about Christianity. I would be much. I would have to go into Islam in another do a closer study on Islam to see any parallels there between objectivism and Islam, to see if there's some element of Islam to be able to take out.
But taking his reply at face value, that he sees that there are some moral teachings in Islam, he says this is an objectivist. Taking that at face value,
I know. I say that I don't say that they are parallels. I say there are some virtues, and that is the reason. Because of that virtues, those religions are alive with us. They are sustaining.
Yeah.
But my main concern is that we don't need those virtues. And we don't need those religions. We don't need those narratives at all. Why? Why is that? Because we have better philosophy. And that philosophy has virtues, has a narrative, has a story, and it corresponds to reality. Those religions are just holding us down.
Okay, so
we don't need those virtues. I have totally discarded them out. I have rooted them out. By the means of volition.
all of Islam.
Yes.
Every single thing.
Every single version, every single branch.
Well, can I say that I've kept reverence from the Mormon religion? I feel reverence towards things that I respect.
I certainly respect something. I respect Kant. I respect not in the sense that he's a great philosopher. Not in the sense that he's presented a great philosophy, but in the sense that he was a genius to think. Because I respect virtues. I like virtues, so I do think that Kant was a great genius philosopher, but I think he was evil. So I root him out completely. I think he, by the means of volition, I think he was completely a bad philosopher, because he was leading us to destruction.
Okay, now you've come here to America, and you look around you, and this is a very Christian society. At least our grandparents went to church, even if we don't go to church. So,
Yeah.
what do you think of basically the basic Christian values that are spread around in Western society pretty broadly?
Honestly, I think they're pathetic. They're the ones. These values are the ones that enable leftists and the external threat, Muslims, in our country. These values are the ones that open the door.
Which values do you speak of?
The self-sacrifice, masochism type of values that turn the other cheek, Because remember, Kantianism, all these other Platonic philosophies, they're all descended from Christianity. These Platonic philosophies like communism, socialism, they're all descended of Christianity. They were all Christian. Yeah, they're all Christians in their ethics. So I'm against these. I'm against these values from the start. So yeah.
I would say that progressivism is basically to take the worst elements of Christianity and turning into a system of thought. So if you take the absolute worst elements that you can think of in Christianity, you get progressivism.
I think that's true because Christianity comes from Plato's philosophy, and Immanuel Kant is Plato's philosophy stripped of all of its Greek things.
Exactly, and from Immanuel Kant you get communism.
But in addition to that,
socialism.
In Christianity you have a very strong focus on universal rights or universalism, that everyone is equal, and in progressivism this has become a fetish.
This egalitarian view of life. Yes.
So you're fetishizing equality in progressivism, and
I see the influence of Christianity in all these other philosophies and all these other bad mystic philosophies.
I have to remind you that communism originated with Karl Marx, who was
I know that. I'm just saying that communism descended from Karl Marx. From his philosophy, and then it was.
But he was not a Christian.
Of course, he was not a Christian. Of course, he was not a Christian, but he was influenced by the Christian philosophy.
Yeah,
he can say 10 times that he was not a Christian.
I think I could build. Could build a pretty good communist dictatorship using the New Testament. Pretty much just by itself, I think.
Yeah, and MrCropper, I believe that you have made some videos, those socialists, defending socialism from the Bible. They use the Bible to defend socialism. Why are they doing that? They're atheists. Because communism and socialism, their values are parallel with the Christian values.
Now, so what if we use the material that Onar has proposed in order to open a conversation with religious people and say, we've got these parallels here we would like you to think about. We would like you to realize that the good parts of your religion are contained within a systematic philosophy.
I'll say discard that material.
You would say just discard all that. We've got a whole new thing for you.
Yeah, I will say root it out.
I would propose the Tea Party people that Yaron Brook tried to talk to, and that was sort of what his message to them was, and they really didn't like him very much.
No, and I think Ben Shapiro. You know when he talked to Ben Shapiro about objectivism as well, he didn't use the mystical language, but I don't think Ben Shapiro would be convinced because he is a very religious person. These people will not be convinced, and I'm not out there to convince everyone as to convert them. I'm here to present my philosophy, and if they want to take it, they can take it. If they don't want to take it, they can get out. from my face. I'm not knocking on their door begging to accept objectivism.
What do you say,
But
Onar?
I will not change my principles.
Onar,
Principles.
should we just forget about the people, Onar, that won't accept objectivism straight out with the presentation of objectivism?
Well, my concern is about the future of the country, right? Future of the West. And we want to influence people in a more rational way. And at the moment, even though objectivism is making some headway, largely because of Atlas Shrugged, at the same time, it's not objectivism that is the main driver at the moment, and it seems like it's a long way to go, and in the meantime, the West is dying, being invaded from within and from without. So, how do we stop that from happening? I don't think we can just close our eyes to that, and we have to have a strategy for saying, how do we include as many people as possible on our team to protect the West?
Well, I'm wondering if trying to include the Christians is wise at all, because they're all sort of gone. Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris did a lot of damage to the community, period.
Yeah. And they're coming back because of the likes of Jordan Peterson. They're becoming Christians again, like Gavin McManus, Stephen Molyneux, people like him.
Oh,
they're becoming.
He is an atheist, Stephen Molyneux.
Oh no, he's coming back. He has respect and reverence for religion.
Oh no.
He's coming back.
I've heard him. He just lately he's talking about, like, he is an atheist, but what he's saying is very very similar to what I'm saying. He's saying that if you take away people's belief system and you have nothing to replace it with, then you.
I say replace it with objectivism.
Yes.
I say replace it with cold hard facts. Objectivism. Accept reality. That there is no imaginary friend out there. Accept reality. Do not replace it with mystical woo-woo. Here you go. Here's objectivism for you, which is just another metaphorical language of Christianity, so they can be happy. No, they need to understand reality.
They certainly do need to understand reality, but when you talk to most Christians, and I've noticed that there's a difference between Christians and Muslims in this respect, especially Muslims in the Middle East. The closer you get to Saudi Arabia, the more collectivist and groupthink they become. But this is not true of Christians. Christians are not groupthink in the same way. They're very individualistic.
But that is because of the influence of Aristotelian philosophy. That is because of the influence of Enlightenment philosophy. They were very collectivist.
In the Dark Ages, they were very collectivist.
And what we need to do is we need to go and preach, or I would say, teach them objectivism. Teach them about radical laissez-faire capitalism. We're not out there to say, well, objectivism kind of is a parallel with your Christian worldview, so please accept it. They have a specific worldview. They want afterlife. They won't be cool with objectivism.
Yeah.
They want
Onar, what are we going to say to them when they get worried about heaven and stuff? And we say, well, we don't really have a parallel for that. We've just got reality and honesty.
Well, they do have some, in one sense, an afterlife, which is their children, right? Their heritage into the future. So they're investing in the future, and whenever they are investing in their children, that's something that's going to live after they are gone. So there is in that sense an afterlife. We have an infinity gene within us, like Richard Dawkins. He called his books the selfish gene, but he was actually contemplating calling it the eternal gene. Because
the immortal gene.
The immortal gene, sorry. the immortal gene, and that is because there's an element of us that lives beyond us. Now, of course, Richard Dawkins has turned that whole idea into a mockery by turning into a vehicle of altruism, which is insane. But the idea that we have something immortal within us, that is precisely what Jordan Peterson is referring to as God. And like, listen when he says he's very clear on this. He says we're acting not as if we're just living right now in the moment. We're acting as if we're part of something that goes beyond our own life. Like we have children. That's something that's behavior that it's not consistent with just living in the moment.
Yes, but Christians are already having children. they don't want children to be the afterlife. They want to be in the afterlife with Jesus, sing the praises of God.
Why do you think they have children?
Yeah, of course they want to reproduce. They want to reproduce. But that's not the immortality they're seeking for. They're seeking for immortality, which is to live forever with Jesus in heaven. They're not gonna be convinced by just having children. They're having children right now.
But just notice how strange it is that the people who actually do have children are precisely those who believe in an afterlife. Why would, if they believed in an afterlife, why wouldn't they just say, okay, I don't have to do a lot of stuff right now. I'll just not have children, because that's a lot of work, and then I just live a good life, and then I'll just secure my ticket at lowest cost to go to heaven. They're not doing that. The ones who are not having children are precisely the ones who don't believe in an afterlife. The atheists and progressives, disastrously low birth rates.
Yeah, but we're not gonna convince the atheists to have children as a form of duty.
No. So why would you have children?
To pass down your genes.
In objectivism, that's not the reason for having it, because
I know. In objectivism, it's the selfish reason to raise a child, to raise a mind. It's not biologically to pass down your genes in objectivism. Objectivism does not say that you should have children as a form of duty, but if you want to have children, then have children for a selfish reason.
Right. So in a previous video, I tried to actually I'm not sure it was in one of MrCropper's videos. Where I said that. What I did? Yeah, go on.
You were critical of objectivism and Ayn Rand, which I took a huge. I took a huge objection towards that.
Saying that it would be different if she had kids, right?
Yeah. Well, no, because having kids is not a form of duty. She would never think of having kids as a duty to pass down her philosophy on her children.
That's not what my argument was. I just think that if she had children, she would have had that biological experience within her that said, this is a very important part of life.
Do you think she would?
But she was not concerned with that because her career was different. Her career was not motherhood. Her career was to present a philosophy.
That's fine.
And she was invested in that.
Onar,
that was her selfish reason.
Do you think she would have written maybe an essay or a book about the virtues of motherhood or something? Like, men have productive work, but what do women have? Not really productive work, right? Or is that women's job too?
She did say nice thing about motherhood, that you should take it seriously as a career if you became a mother. But she didn't. I regard it as a sort of a blind spot in objectivism. That,
and I don't. I don't.
Well, consider the following: objectivism is the philosophy of life. It's after 4 billion years of evolution, we have come to this pinnacle of epiphany and understanding the philosophy of life. And wouldn't it be like the most ironic thing if the philosophy of life, objectivism, led down the path of extinction? So for 4 billion years we were able to reproduce, and then the whole world became objectivist, and bam, no more children, gone in a generation.
Who said no more children? Objectivists still have children.
They have the birth rates of.
But it's not a duty. It's not a duty to have a children, and we should not be concerned about their birth rates. We should not be concerned.
I'm definitely concerned about that, because
why?
Because objectivism is a philosophy of life, and reproduction is a part of life.
Yeah, a philosophy of achieving happiness in life. If happiness does not come from having children, then don't have children.
You don't regard it as a contradiction if objectivists disappear?
For example, you're asking me?
Yeah.
No, objectivists will not disappear, and objectivism will not disappear because we already have, ideas spread out.
Well, if we produce less than 2 people per marriage, we'll disappear.
Well, it's not my concern to have if they wanna disappear like that. I mean, it's not my concern. That's theirs. They have to live their selfish happiness, their selfish lives.
It's definitely my concern.
I'm not gonna say, well, have children, go to their bedroom and say, well, have children because objectivism is gonna disappear. That's a form of dictatorship of your bedroom.
If you say it like that, then that's obviously not a good thing, because then you're turning having children into a duty.
Yeah, and that's why Onar, you're thinking of having children as a form of duty, and you're concerned. I'm not concerned. I'm concerned in converting people or convincing people of objectivism.
I don't see that I'm presenting this as a duty. Because
then why are you concerned? Why are you concerned of objectivists not having children?
Because it's a sign that there's something wrong. It's sick. It's a form of disease.
How is it sick? That's their selfish happiness. If someone said that I wanna be this, and I wanna become an engineer. I don't want to become an a philosopher. That doesn't mean all the philosophers are gonna disappear. That's their concern. That's their happiness. We can't go and knock on their doors and and say, well, have children. That's a disease. You're not having children.
Yeah, if we define disease, then it might be some form of disease, mightn't it?
It's not a disease. I mean, why would it be a disease? Then why have 1 children? Why don't have 2 children?
Onar, explain why you call it a disease to not have kids, a form of disease.
Well, I'm not used space. I'm not talking like there are reasons why one individual should have children or not have children. I mean, it's an individual choice. I'm not saying that this is if a person doesn't have a child or 2 children, then then that person's disease. What I'm saying is that there's something fundamentally wrong with a philosophy if it leads to extinction of life, especially if it pertains to be a philosophy of life.
I don't think it will lead to extinction because no. It praises sex. it will not lead to extinction, and you will not have objectivists just zapped out of existence. We have presented the ideas, we have presented the truth, they can accept it.
But here's the problem. If suppose the whole world was objectivists, there's no one else to parasitize on. So, like, you're not trying to convert someone else. Like, if
that's your worldview. That you're thinking of objectivism as sort of a parasite.
No. Listen, what I said.
Okay.
If you are basing the continuation of objectivism based on converting other people, that is parasitism. Because at some point that means that second-handedness, right? You're dependent on someone else in order to continue this. And once you run out of other people to convert, then the whole thing goes extinct, right?
If we don't reproduce.
If we don't reproduce.
Can I disprove this?
Go ahead.
With history. So you understand, in Christianity, there is a philosophy of celibacy.
Yeah.
So are they extinct now? Jesus never married anyone. We still have more Christians than objectivists.
Christians have a lower IQ because of that, because the priests were celibate.
Yep.
The Jews have a higher IQ because their rabbis.
The rabbis had 13 kids. The priests had 0 kids. So the IQ of Christians went down, and the IQ of Jews went up.
That's what happened.
But we still have more Christians than Jews.
But the point is that the
dumb ones
only applied to the celibacy thing only applied to the smartest of the Christians, to the priests, to the learned.
No, but their ideal, Jesus, was never married, so and he never had any kids. He never had any sex. His philosophy would be on the breach of extinction than objectivism. Objectivism praises sex and praises in having selfish reasons for having kids, not duty bound reasons for having kids. I mean, which you are concerned of. Like you're thinking that West is going to be extinct, and because we are not having any kids. No, West is not because of kids. West is not because of a nation. West is not because it's white. Why West is great is because of its ideas.
Yes, but if those ideas lead to extinction,
these ideas are not going to lead us to extinction. Why is it going to lead us to extinction? We're just saying we don't have any biological duty to procreate. We're saying that we just have to.
That. I agree that you don't have a duty. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the alternative to being silent on children is to say that you have a duty to have children.
So there's got to be some middle road. What do you propose? Like a few essays or a book on the virtues of child rearing?
I would say that something along the line that having children is one of the most fulfilling ways that a human can self-realize.
Well, I think Dr. Leonard Peikoff actually wrote about this, so you don't have to.
Oh, that's great. I don't recall this, but the point is that this is not part of this is not at the front seat of objectivism.
So
as evidenced by the fact that so few objectivists have children.
Yeah, and I would not have that as my primary concern. I would not have that as my primary concern. that they're not having children.
Yeah,
Because,
one of my worries very quickly would be, are the kids actually going to be objectivist?
yeah, because that's then you're thinking of like passing down religion, because you have a parallel with religion and objectivism. So you're thinking in the sense that you must pass down objectivism as a form of religion.
No, you have to be a little bit careful about mind reading. That's not what I'm thinking. I'm concerned with a philosophy of life, and a philosophy of life has to, by definition, be viable. It has to have survival capability.
Which means a philosophy of life, which means the pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
Which does not mean to, if your happiness contains of having children, then have children. If your happiness contains of, becoming an engineer and not having children, then don't have children. Become an engineer or something.
Well,
But
I would ask how you got here. I mean, you say you're going to seek happiness, but how did you get here?
Yeah, by the means of sex. But I don't think my parents had a duty to have me in this world.
No, they did you a tremendous favor.
Yeah, they did, but it was in their selfish interest too. They wanted to raise a child.
See, I think that there could be a book or essays written on this. What did Peikoff write on this subject?
I'm not sure because I don't have it right now. But if you Google it about Dr. Leonard Peikoff saying about having kids.
Okay, we can do that after.
Yeah, you can do that.
Just a comment, or just I mean, it
yeah,
seems...
I heard him say that having kids is for selfish reasons, not for duty-bound reasons.
Okay, so let me challenge you on some things here.
Mm-hmm.
The way I define identity is like selfishness. What does self-interest mean? First of all, you have to define what self means, and your self means your identity. So the way I define self-interest is to act according to your nature, to act in concordance with your identity, to make sure that your A is A, right? Do you agree with that statement?
Okay. Act according to your nature. I have to think about this because this would lead people into, accepting some mystical ideas like, for example, if a person, his identity is, let's say he's black, and he says, well, I have to act according to my nature, my superficial nature, which is my skin color. And
well, that's just a racist you're talking about. What about a rational person who acts in accordance with his nature? And his nature is reason. I accept that, the rational nature, not the mystical nature, which people say, well, it's in my self-interest to support my race or some sort of like that. It's not in their self-interest. Like, for example, some Christian says that it's in my self-interest to worship God because I'm going to get heaven. That's not his self-interest. That's not.
That is a mystical version of.
Yeah, that's a mystical version. That's why I'm trying. I'm trying to separate that mysticism. That mysticism of religion, mysticism of this so-called evolutionary determinism.
Oh, okay. Can you unpack that a little bit? How, first of all, I'm not an evolutionary determinist, and you say I agree that determinism is a form of strange form of mysticism. I agree with that, but why do you connect that up with evolution all of a sudden? Like, what do you mean by that?
Because people think that it's in my selfish interest to pass down my genes, which they think that this is in their selfish interest, but they're doing it as a duty. They're thinking of their as it's a duty to pass down their genes. They're not thinking in the rational terms, which is, I want to raise this child because it's in my selfish happiness to raise the child. I want to teach him. I want to make him see the reality as it is, not how religious people indoctrinate their children. I don't want to do that. I want to have a happy child or a happy life with my child. That's a rational reason. But an irrational, evolutionary, deterministic reason would be something along the lines of, I want to have this child because I want to pass down my race. My race continues, and for example, it's.
How about your lineage?
Yeah, my lineage, because that would be your progeny worship, because we hate ancestor worship. We don't like ancestor worship. That would be your children worship would be, yeah, I'm working. I'm a biological machine working to spread genes.
I'm trying to understand who hates ancestor worship.
We objectivists, we don't like ancestor worship. Ancestor worship is a form of mysticism.
Worship, yes. But reverence for, like, founding fathers, reverence.
Reverence for founding father, reverence for Enlightenment thinkers. That's one thing. We revere them because of their philosophies, because of their ideas.
And you know what?
We don't revere.
I also have reverence for my ancestors because they are the very reason I'm here.
What kind of reverence?
I'm very grateful I exist. I'm thankful every day.
Yeah, you exist, but you...
And it's because of them. It's all because of them.
Yeah, but it wasn't their duty to create you.
No, but I have a reverence for them that they gave me this gift of life. You know that they did not choose you to have you. You were just one part of one sperm.
Maybe that's even more amazing then.
Yeah, but it's not. We're not going to revere our ancestors because of that. Because they had you as a child. We're going to revere our ancestors because of their ideas.
Now, it sounds to me that you're disconnecting ideas from actions. It's only whatever goes on inside your mind that is valuable. So we can revere the founding fathers because of their ideas. But I also revere the founding fathers, not just because they were sitting in an armchair and thinking, but they were doing actions in the real world, such as creating this a wonderful country called the United States.
Which is their application of their ideas.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying just having ideas. I'm saying people who have ideas, they apply their ideas, which is they're good ideas. So I revere them for their application of their good ideas as well. But I'm not revering them because they were, let's say, they were white. I'm not revering them because I'm not respecting them because of their skin color or their
I understand that.
Their race.
How did that come into the equation? Why does a reverence for your past, the fact that you have ancestors, your family members that brought you here, how is that the same as like reverence for like?
No, how would you distinguish from ancestor worship? I don't revere my ancestor. Do you know who's my ancestor? The Prophet. The Prophet is my ancestor.
Muhammad, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can grant him so much reverence that he
and he caused the most he caused the most destruction in the West. So I'm revering him for having me.
Yes. So it's like you don't have to necessarily love your ancestors or worship them, but having some kind of basic respect that you are here right now, because
I only respect good ideas. I respect good ideas and people who use volition to apply those good ideas. I don't respect them because of their heritage, their skin color, their race, their traditions, their mystical traditions.
okay.
I revere them of their rational traditions, rational faculties,
Okay,
reason.
Let me ask you then: if you see a dog in the street, would you kick it?
Would I kick it?
Yeah.
Why would I kick it?
For no good reason.
No, I would not kick it. Only maybe in self-defense.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. But it just not for fun, right? Why wouldn't you kick it?
Because I don't get pleasure from kicking the dog.
But if you did get pleasure from kicking it, you would kick it?
No, that's a very wrong. That's a misplacement of having pleasure. That's a cheap thrill. That's not happiness. That's sadism.
Yeah, it's sick.
And yeah, that's sadism. It's another form of altruism. I don't project my.
It's a form of cannibalism. Yeah, moral cannibalism. Definitely.
Yeah, which is another form of. I would say.
But
sacrificing others to yourself is another form of altruism, because you're still taking the account of others in your life.
Yes, but okay.
So giving someone pain, and this is precisely Miss Rand said that altruists, they will present you with two ideas, two worldviews. They will say either you are selfish, which is basically you're sadist, or you're altruist, where you are basically sacrificing yourself to others. So this is what the altruist presents. So what kind of argument you're presenting is what altruists present.
No, I was trying to make a point here.
Yeah.
Let's say that we take this feeling out of this. It's like, for some reason, like we know that animals don't have rights from objectivism.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Therefore, it shouldn't be like there have been people who have been like, I know objectivists seem argue that, well, then it doesn't matter if you kill a dog or not because it doesn't have any rights.
Yeah, I mean, you can kill the dog. You can, in some parts, you can eat the dog. You can yeah, because it's not an rational animal. It does not have any rights. So I don't. Yeah,
that's true. It doesn't have any rights, but
yeah,
I would still argue that you would still, despite it doesn't have a rational faculty, just as a
who doesn't have a rational faculty?
The dog doesn't have a rational faculty.
Yeah.
But even on a basic level, I think that you would extend like a primitive form of respect to the dog, even though you wouldn't call it a right. The dog doesn't have the right, but you would just by default try not to harm life.
Look, if it's in my benefit, for example, if the dog is attacking me, I would have to have to kill the dog. I would have to, beat. Yeah. But I'm not saying that I respect the dog as I respect a human being. I don't.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But you do have some kind of primitive, basic respect.
No. I don't have a primitive or basic respect. I'm not an environmentalist. I won't hurt the dog if it's not in my interest. I mean, if it's in my interest, if it's in my self-defense, I would have to. But I'm not going out. I'm not seeking to give pain to that dog.
I guess that when I say respect, I mean respect in the sense of not violating it or doing it harm. I'm not saying respect in the psychological sense of having some kind of wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I said that I would not hurt the dog for my sadistic nature. I mean, I don't have a sadistic nature, but I'm saying I will not hurt the dog because I derive pleasure from it. But if the dog is, let's say, attacking me, or let's say that the dog is some form of an obstacle, I would have to eliminate the dog.
So let me try to. I'm trying to get to a point here, but it's like it's moving a little slowly forward. So instead of trying to lead you, let me say what I would do. It's like I wouldn't mind if it turns out that there are some rare species in the world, just for the sake of future generations, or for other people, or for whatever reason. I wouldn't mind having some kind of natural museum where I have a memory of the species that were there before.
Have a museum. You know, I'm not saying that don't have a museum. So, but it's but I'm not saying, I'm not concerned in saving their species in the sense that, you know, I'm not concerned in saving the dodo. The dodo was extinct. The dodo is gone.
Dodo doesn't worry me.
Yeah. So I'm not. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that it isn't. I think quite natural for humans to think that we like life. We like these.
Yes, we do like life. I like cute animals too. I like Persephone, but she died.
Right, and we have basically this thing that we're surrounded by life, and I have a just general interest in those things that are related to us, and by the same token, we extend a similar kind of interest.
Notice when they're related to us. Notice when they're related to us.
That they are. Every species or any individual organism on planet Earth is related to us.
Not predators. Not predators.
Even they are actually related to us.
Bananas are related to us.
No. I'm not saying that related to us, like, for example, in biological sense, which I do believe that. Yeah, but I'm saying related to us that we don't need predators in our life.
Oh, like that, yeah.
Like tigers, we don't want to conserve tigers in our communities. We may conserve tigers in some natural habitat, but yeah. I'm not saying that conserve them in our communities.
In my country, we have this precise discussion at the moment with wolves, where there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, we have to have these wolves, but they eat lambs." So
yes.
So I'm on the side of like, okay, then the wolves have to go.
Yes.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that we have some kind of basic interest or respect. Call it whatever you want. I'm not going to be too precise about my language there, but there's something about our biological heritage, including the one that's alive around us right now, that we have some kind of interest in, just because we're alive.
But we're not going to make it as a duty, because it's again, you can merge that into altruism. Then you can say, well, you know, others have I revere the others more than I revere myself. You know, you can expand this revere or respect and loving into some form of altruism. You can corrupt this. So I don't agree with respecting or revering things that do not relate to me in my life. I don't precisely agree with that.
Okay, fair enough. I hope you see what my point, however, is that I have I see us as part of this. Call it an eternity stream of eternity, and I find it valuable to be part of that long lineage. So I see
Yeah.
that my identity, and I'm talking about my biological identity, has built into it that behavior of keeping the string of life going. That is part of biological identity, of biological nature, not of mystical nature, but of biology.
No, I agree that people have not only people, but animals and all the living things have the tendency to reproduce, and they have what I would call that's what life does. It reproduces.
Yeah.
But we humans, we have free will, we have volition. We say, well, we want to choose what type of happiness we want to have. If we want to have independent, not having kids type of happiness, then we can choose that. If we want to have a type of independence where type of meaning where we want to raise kids, we can do that as a selfish interest. We have volition, we have free will to reject our biological natures as well. A person can be a celibate all his life. He has the biological he has biological needs. I do agree, but he uses his free will to become to be a celibate for all his life.
Well, Onar might just be proposing that people who don't have kids are missing out on striking some of those very long-aged keys inside of our brain, which are part of our nature. And without playing those keys, they're missing part of the symphony of the music of life or something. Is that fair, Onar?
That's fair.
Yeah, but if you want to have kids, then have kids. If someone doesn't want to have kids, you can't force them to have kids.
Yeah, no, but I don't think I've ever said that people should have a duty or be forced to have kids.
But you were concerned that people were not having, objectivists are not having enough kids.
That's not the same as saying that people should have a duty to have kids. What I'm saying is then you should not be concerned with their personal and private lives.
No.
What I'm saying is that if people based on ideas don't have kids, then we might have to go have a second look at those ideas and how they're presented, so that people will want to have kids.
So those ideas are basically, you're saying that it becomes a duty.
No, I didn't say that. I said that the ideas should be formulated so that people want to have kids, not that they feel that they have a duty to have kids.
But if someone doesn't want to have kids?
No, I'm not. There are always people who don't want to have kids. So I'm not going to force that down their throat. But if the ideas are presented in such a way that the majority, or like on average, the birth rate is below replacement, and that's an indication that there's something wrong in the way that the ideas are presented. Because I don't believe that 4 billion years of evolution got us to the point where when people finally had a rational philosophy and free will, then the first thing they do is to stop having children.
But evolution and psychology and nature does not decide what we want to decide.
But evolution created us. And by that I mean that we don't exist, like we didn't come out of nothing, out of a vacuum.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, but we're not in debt to evolution, or we're not in debt to nature to have kids.
Onar, is this too strong a statement? A philosophy that does not include procreation drops the context of itself.
I don't think that's a too strong statement.
So it's
then why is it Mr. Cropper? I want to ask you, let's even say that philosophy that does not advocate of having kids, it's a philosophy. People can accept the ideas. It's an idea. It's sort of a meme, you know. People can accept those ideas and they can reject those ideas. They don't have to have kids in order to reproduce and then pass down their ideas.
No, somebody had to have kids for the philosophy to exist.
And let me give Onar a different scenario. Let's say West starts having kids, but they become collectivists. I would oppose the West. I mean, I'm not saying that just because West is not having more kids, that's the reason that I must defend the West. No, I'm saying I must defend the West because of its great ideas.
Okay, let's look at the dystopian possibility of everybody becoming objectivists and objectivists choosing to have kids less often than 2 per family, and some distant future where there's one last objectivist and he croaks, and as he's dying with no kids, he says, "I was doing this for my happiness." And then that's the last human being. Right?
Yeah,
that's the dystopian.
That's his happiness. He's not gonna live forever.
And you don't think that that's strange that the human race would cease to exist under those conditions?
I'm gonna cease to exist after 70 years. I don't give a damn who lives after me, who dies after me.
No concern for the human race as such.
I'm not fighting for my human race. I'm fighting for myself. I'm not fighting for human race. My selfish reason is to fight for myself, and that's why I would fight for America, because it's in my selfish interest. I would fight for my human rights. My individual rights. That's what I would fight for. I'm not concerned about the human race because I'm gonna die anyway. I don't care what happens afterwards, after I die, and you shouldn't care what happens to human race after you die. I mean, you can leave insurance to your family, but that's it. I mean, you're not there. Let me quote Miss Rand. She says that when I die, it's not that I would die, but it's the world that would die with me. So you have this life alone.
Yeah.
You're not going to be concerned with the human race.
Somebody asked Ayn Rand, "Why are you spreading ideas that aren't even going to take effect until decades after you die?" And she said, "I don't care about posterity, but I do care about any free individual born in the future who is like myself."
Yes, I do. Yeah, and I do care. That's why I'm fighting for the ideas. I'm not saying, well, I'm going to just be short-sighted. I'm fighting for the ideas because they help me.
Wouldn't it be weird if the ideas led to nobody practicing them? Wouldn't that be weird?
Why shouldn't they practice? I mean, we have the practical philosophy.
Because they all disappear. Because everybody dies and disappears.
It wouldn't matter. Everything eventually would have to die.
It wouldn't matter, but you don't think that would be weird?
For who?
For the philosophy of life to lead to the extinction of the people practicing it?
Every philosophy would eventually is going to go extinct.
Not necessarily.
With the humans, if humans are going to go extinct,
Why should they go extinct?
Yeah, they should not. They should create technology to prolong their lives, their genes. I mean, I don't care about those things. I don't care that they should procreate for the sake of their genes. I care about the selfish happiness. That's it. I don't care about, look at the whole big human narrative. No, I don't care about that.
I guess the problem here I'm trying to
Because I don't worship my children. I don't worship my ancestors, and I don't worship my children, my progeny.
Onar, do you propose child worship? That might be interesting.
It has a certain like appealing ring to it, but no. What you didn't get your testicles just for fun. It's part of your identity.
Yes,
and it's there
yeah,
used for
yes,
specific biological
yes.
function.
Yeah, but it is my choice. It's my volition. It's my free will.
I agree.
To use whatever, to use it how much I want to use. I mean, to plug my dick into in whatever hole that I want to plug in my dick.
Absolutely. But okay, so my point here is that
I don't recommend gay sex though, but
volition, if in humans, conceptual volition led to a completely unique behavior that you only find in extent in humans, which is suicide. Suicide is something that requires conceptual volition. I mean, that's sort of like a
suicide of what? Suicide of what?
Of you. Like,
I'm not committing suicide.
No. But I'm saying there are lots of people committing suicide, and when they do so, we think that there's something sick about that.
Suicide is sick because it's altruistic.
Because they're acting against their nature.
Yeah, but
by the same token, if you cut off your balls, that's a partial form of suicide because you're cutting off a part of your nature.
But I'm not cutting my balls.
No. I mean, if you're like the reason for I'm using a metaphor here.
Yeah. But I'm saying that if someone wants to cut their genitalia and become transgender, I mean, they're free to do it.
Okay.
It's not my concern. I would not call them a woman, or I would not call them a girl.
No. The metaphor is by cutting your balls off. He means not having any more kids.
Yes, that's
Yeah, it's not my concern. If he does not want to have kids, it's not my concern. It's his free will not to have kids. Because...
Well, Onar is proposing there's something sick about that.
It is sick because, but it's not my concern.
No, but it is the concern of naming it in a rational philosophy. In a rational philosophy, you would say that suicide is not a good thing.
Not always. Suicide can be a good thing.
Yeah, it can be.
You know what? Under some context where you see that there is no hope, then you must suicide. I mean, you must commit suicide. Let's say if the whole world turns into a communist planet, and you know that there is no way of going anywhere, then I would say commit suicide in the most painless way. So I mean, yeah, I'm not advocating for humans to survive as a form of duty.
I would just need to get some water.
Yeah. But I do agree with that survival produces happiness. I do agree with that, but I'm not saying that survival should be as a form of duty.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily duty that I think we're looking at. It's just that it seems like a little bit of a bizarre inconsistency that people who promote the philosophy of life don't procreate very often or as much. Now, I think partially it's just a function of cost in the United States.
Mr. Cropper, but it's a philosophy of living a happy life. It's not a philosophy of biological life.
Yes, but the proposal is that happiness comes from procreating and taking part in the play that you're part of.
It's not for everyone.
Happiness comes in in survival, and I do agree with that happiness comes with when you apply your reason, your rational faculty to survive. But I'm not saying that happiness comes in a form of procreating as a form of duty. So happiness.
Neither am I.
Yeah. So if a philosophy that advocates life, advocates happiness, it should not be in as a form of duty. So yeah.
So we agree on that. That's good. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is that if you have a list of, like, a checklist of possible ways of living as man qua man, in other words, living in accordance with your identity as a human being, then procreation should be very high on that list of living as man qua man.
Not necessarily.
No, but on your menu, so to speak, of default choices, things that you should be looking at very closely as a very, very natural choice, that should be very high on your list.
It does give you a background material for a lot of the roles that a male is supposed to play, like being a leader and being a provider and being a protector, and a lot of the buttons that your brain wants pushed get pushed.
But if you don't want to be that type of male, if you don't want to be a person who wants to have kids, then
then you're missing out. Then you're missing out.
Yeah, you're missing. I know you're missing out. I know you're missing out, but it's not. But it's not. If his selfish happiness contains of not having kids but doing something else which he thinks is productive, then that should be his focus point.
Okay.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Let me give an example. Like, for example, if a person just solely wants to become an architect, he focuses and he puts all his energy in just creating designs for the buildings. He does not have time to procreate and have children, and he's not interested in that, so he doesn't have to do that. There's a value in having kids. I do agree. There's a value, but if he doesn't want to have that type of value, it's not necessary that.
I agree
to have that.
But he should be at least be presented with a case for having kids.
Well, yeah, he should be, but I mean.
So that's missing today. The case for having kids.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not. I think I heard Dr. Leonard Peikoff giving a selfish reason for having kids. So I don't think that's missing in objectivism. But
it's missing in the sense that it's not on anyone's radar. It's not what everyone is talking about.
Because not everyone wants to become an engineer. Not everyone wants to become an architect.
But
not everyone wants.
Very, very basic. Everyone wants to have food to survive. Everyone wants certain things. Breathing.
You can survive without your kids.
Yes, but only barely.
Only for a short time, just till the end of your life.
Not even then.
That's the only survival. You can't survive after your kid, after you die.
You can if you have kids. You can.
Your genes may survive, but those kids mean nothing to you.
Not just your genes, but your personality and your traits and your desires and hobbies and goals and.
Which comes from your genes, but I'm saying that you're. I mean, you won't be there. What if your kid becomes a Kantian communist? What if your kids turn out to be an altruist? You're not there. You would be in horror to see your kids becoming like that.
I agree with that, but that sounds a lot like lifeboat ethics. Like, what would you do in an emergent situation? We have to talk about the normal here.
What if my kids become good, strong, patriotic Americans?
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
But you're not. But you're not there to witness that.
But there is one thing you are there to witness, and something that is a very, very strong selfish reason for having kids, which is that in your old age, you will be alone. Very, very, very alone and miserable if you don't have kids around you. You have
For some people, being alone is good thing. For some people, they like being.
For most people, it's not.
So then don't be alone. You can have romantic partners.
That's true, but I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of old people who didn't have kids, and what they all report is that they just wish they didn't let that chance go away. All the people who were telling them that they should become engineers, should be become architects, they should become all sorts of things. No one told them that they should become a mother or a father. And now that they're old, they're sitting alone in their apartment, their partner is dead, they are frail, they're sick, they can't do anything, no one is there to look after them.
And no one cares about them.
Lonely and miserable, no one loves them. They're all alone in this world, and they have only a few years left of misery because no one cares for them in the entire world. They missed out on family, they missed out on everything, and they regret every moment of that.
Maybe what we need, Onar, is a definition of love, and if that definition of love is done proper, then love would be a selfish value to us, and that would include having kids.
Which the scenario that you describe is also a lifeboat ethics. That you're saying
actually, no, it's not, because I see this all the time. This is
what if someone chose to have kids and those kids don't turn up in their old age? That's double misery.
Okay, that's true, but that is actually sort of like a rational karma, where you have not trained your children well in order to look after you in your old age.
Presumably, an objectivist would treat his children well, and they would care for him, and they would have a good relationship.
Yeah, they would, but it's not the children's duty to be there.
No, it's not. But if
it's
you
not their
with love, then they will love you back.
Yeah, but it's not their duty to do that.
My daughter doesn't love me out of duty.
But they do it out of love, right?
Yeah, they do, but it's not their duty, and they won't be there forever for you to. But I'm saying that if someone lives a life of pure happiness and he uses his rational faculties to achieve happiness, in his old age he can just remember those times. He doesn't have to have someone to share or to he can write a book or something, but he doesn't need to have another human being to be there for him as a duty. You can have pets too. People have pets.
Yeah, New Intellectual, do you have pets?
No, I don't. I used to have one.
Have you had, what did you have, a cat or a dog?
I had a fish.
A fish. Oh, have you ever had a cat or a dog fall asleep on your arm or your leg or something?
But it was not my cat. It was my sister's cat.
And what did you just lay there and you let it stay until it got up, or did you shoo it away, or what?
No. I enjoyed it, but that cat basically wasn't my cat. I mean, my sister gave it away. I don't miss it.
Well, that was your base. Even though it didn't matter that much to you, you had a basic respect for life and for another living entity, and you liked seeing that entity was comfortable and sleeping and whatever, and you.
Yeah.
That's benevolence. That's benevolence.
Yeah, that's benevolence. But I'm not saying that I want another human being to be with me forever for till the day I die. I don't want to duty bound human beings to do that for me. Nor I want to be duty bound to someone else.
I think that if we can count the number of times you've said duty and of course, along with don't want, in this conversation, we would come up to like maybe a 200 or something like that. That's
Take
good.
a shot every time I say
It's very good that you don't want to be duty bound, and I think it's important to say this, repeat this, that we don't objectivism rejects duty in every form.
Yes.
I think that's very important to say. So and you're making that point, and I hear you clearly. So when I'm saying, I guess that to me, I take it such as a self-evident thing after having been an objectivist for 20 years or so.
Yes.
That it's something that I just don't mention often, but for people who have not sort of been an objectivist for a long time, it can be disconcerting to not hear that being said. So how long have you been an objectivist for?
I think about a year.
Oh, okay. So this is fairly new to you.
Very recent. I'm a new intellectual in the sense that I'm new.
Okay. Now I say it. Because that's actually a very, very great pun on for the new intellectual. All right.
And I chose the word new intellectual because
you are a new intellectual.
Yeah.
I see it. Yeah, I see.
And I like Ayn Rand's book, The New Intellectual.
Great. Can you extend me the benevolence to accept that after 20 years of being immersed in Ayn Rand's philosophy and knowing pretty much every nook and crank of it, I not only have deep respect for her philosophy, but that there are some things that I just take so much for granted that I don't mention them every 5 minutes.
Like what? Could you give me an example?
Like I haven't mentioned that we're not supposed to be duty bound. I've never mentioned that in any of the conversations with MrCropper.
No, it implies that you are making a case for duties.
Yeah, no. So this is some. What I'm saying is that I realize that I've taken it for such I've taken it for granted that I'm sort of the conversation we are having. I think I said it also in a conversation that both MrCropper and myself are seasoned objectivists. So we're not afraid of exploring ideas because we're safe in our objectivism, right? You agree with this?
I won't. I'm not a seasoned objectivist, and I condemn.
No, I was talking about
No, I condemn seasoned objectivism because I don't think they are true to the principles of objectivists. I want to be a true fundamentalist objectivist, extremist objectivist.
When I say seasoned, that doesn't mean that I'm moderate. It just means that I'm old in this game.
No, what you mean is eclectic. What you mean is you wanna integrate some other ideas into objectivism.
When I say the word seasoned, I literally mean that I'm a veteran.
Veteran.
Yes, I'm old in the game.
Yeah, like a seasoned frying pan is a frying pan that's been used and it's been cooked in a lot of times. That's a seasoned frying pan.
So when I say I'm a seasoned objectivist, it means that I have been an objectivist for a very, very long time.
Through many seasons.
And you should stick to the principles. You should just stick with the principles. You don't need to go out and venture into other ideas and philosophies. You should not incorporate other narratives too, the mystical narratives. I think before you talked to MrCropper, MrCropper was very, very principled in his speech. I mean, he would not allow other philosophies affect him. But since you talked to him, since you had an influence on MrCropper,
I have damaged MrCropper.
you have damaged his principles. You're sanctioning. I mean, MrCropper is sanctioning the things that you say, which are very destructive. Let me give you an example of the things that you have said. You have said that religion is in our genes.
I have said that.
Yeah, you said that. You know that this is totally against objectivism, because religion is an idea.
Mike said, didn't Mike say to Howard Rourke, he said, "You're a very religious man, Howard."
Yeah, but that was not in that sense.
Well, maybe that's what he's talking about, is whatever genes religion answers, Howard Rourke exemplifies those.
No, that was in the sense of you are very principled, and he was wrong. It was his wrong assessment.
Well, I'm
not sure how Howard Rourke would agree with that statement that you're very religious.
Don't we find that religious people are highly principled, and they the Muslims? The Muslims are right. Just examine their ways, and you'll see that they're properly frightened, because the Muslims have principles that are different from the West. You know.
Yes. And those principles are not born in their genes. They are
principles. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But when you said that religion is in our genes,
being principled, being the need to be principled, the necessity of having principles is written in being a human being.
And it's also a necessity to live.
No, we are blank slate. Those needs of principles. People can. No. People can choose not to have principles too. It's not necessarily. It's not necessary. It's not that it's in their genes. They have free will. They can choose They can choose not to have principles. So when you said that religion, because religion is an idea, and it's a very bad idea, but it's an idea, and ideas are not innate.
Yeah. I'm not saying that the idea of religion is innate. That's not what I said.
No, you said religions are in.
Not religions. The
religion.
The urge for religion is innate.
No, it's not. Nothing is innate.
Now this is very important. Have you watched the video by the experienced philosopher and objectivist Stephen Hicks, where he talks about the blank slate and Ayn Rand's view of that?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Maybe we should be able to post it afterwards. But in this, he explains the blank slate. And it's a very common misunderstanding, unfortunately, that blank slate is thought to mean that you're born without any personality or personality traits or innate tendencies in your psyche. But that's not what blank slate refers to. Blank slate refers to you are not born with memories, you're not born with ideas.
Exactly, which is religion is an idea.
A specific religion is an idea, right?
What's specific? All religions are ideas.
Yes, a specific religion is an idea, or ideas, right? But the very idea, the urge of being religious, that's not an idea. Just like the urge for food is not an idea. Becoming hungry and feeling pain, feeling happy, like joy or something like that, that's not an idea. That's just a sensation, an urge, an emotion you have.
Yeah, but that's not an idea. I do agree with that. But I'm saying that principles and religion that you wrote it in the comments section, that you specifically said religions are partly in our genes.
I said religion is
in our religion,
I'm not saying a specific like Christianity is not in our genes, Islam is not in our genes, Hinduism is not in our genes. That's not what I'm saying.
Then what is in our gene? What type of religion is in our gene?
Not a type of religion. but an urge to live within a religious framework.
Now that's why even if you become an atheist, you can be religious like Howard Rourke. You can behave in a religious way. That's why Jordan Peterson says people behave as though they believe in God.
And environmentalists, they are basically religious, even though they're atheists.
Environmentalists,
they live in utopia.
But it's not religion. It's principles. Those principles are no those he. So you're saying Howard Rourke was a religious person? He was a religious man?
Okay, now I was specifically talking about environmentalism and communism. Those are actually religions.
Yeah, they're descended from religion.
Yes, but they claim to be atheists, right? They
claim to be atheists, but they're descended from the philosophy of religion, which is basically self-sacrifice, accepting mystical ideas, mystical metaphysics, and faith as a form of epistemology.
Yes, but why is it that for some reason when once people become atheists, the first thing they turn to is a form of secular religion, like environmentalism, statism?
I didn't.
No.
I didn't.
90% do.
Because they're not given the alternative. We're not giving them the alternative, which is the truth, which is objectivism.
Well, let's replace the word religion with coherent worldview. Why is it that when people become atheists, they automatically seek out a coherent worldview? You did.
Yeah, because I fought against the philosophy. Against the philosophy of their religion. They become atheists, but they're still nihilists. They become atheists because of because they're not integrated. They disintegrate themselves. They become sort of a nihilistic, and when they see a partly integrated form of idea, which is some sort of religion, they accept that type of integrated idea because
Okay, so.
But what I'm totally against is religion in our genes. The phrase that you use, that religion is in our genes. I'm totally against that.
Would you go along with me saying that those people who are disintegrated and seek out, for instance, communism, they have an urge for integration?
Yes, because they want to survive. They want to have a coherent worldview.
They may not necessarily want to survive. They're altruists, right?
Yeah, but they think that's the moral theory, because we humans
they want to be moral, right?
Yeah. People can be people have the volition, the free will, to be coherent, to have a worldview, because people cannot just exist in a blind skepticism.
Yeah. Why is it that morality trumps politics? It's because people have this urge towards principles.
Yes, people have the urge, but some people have the volition and the free will to become unprincipled. Unprincipled. That was the duty of. That was the mission of Kant, to make people unprincipled.
Yeah, but he makes them act on insane principles, like environmentalism and stuff. So they're principled. Kant destroyed principles, and then people built new principles inside of Kant's system.
Oh, yeah.
So there is a need for principles.
Because we want to have a coherent worldview, because we cannot go on blind. We cannot go on blind.
So that's innate, that we want a coherent worldview.
Innate and
our desire, our urge.
Those are
coherent worldview.
Okay. To have a coherent worldview, is it in our genes?
That when I say genes, is it biological? that we're born with this urge, just like born with the urge to.
Let me say that it helps us to survive better to have a coherent worldview.
It is true.
So it helps us to survive better to have a coherent worldview. That's why, but it's not like we're born with this sort of ideas and principles in our genes or urges in our genes we're born with biological urges, not these type of.
Why?
We're not.
Okay, that's very interesting. You accept that we're born with so-called biological urges, but
Yes.
Why is this not a biological urge?
Because we can reject being principled.
Well, we can reject eating food too. Anorexia is possible.
And we can and then we can die.
And we reject sex.
Yeah, we can. We can exactly. That's why we can reject all these. We can reject all these things, and that's why
They are biological urges, right?
Yeah, they are biological urges, and that's why it is the proof of free will that we can reject all these urges.
Could we generalize and say that it is suicidal to reject your biological urges?
Yeah, but
if we reject our biological urge to sex, then we are suiciding as a species.
Yeah, but then you're looking yourself as a collective, as a species.
As part of an event that happened before I got here and that will continue after I leave.
That's a sort of evolutionary collectivist sort of type of thinking.
Do
you see danger in that, Onar?
Well, if you turn it into a form of collectivism, that's definitely a danger.
Oh yeah.
But notice that, like, it's not when we are having children. We don't have to talk about us. We can talk about like elks or whatever. Like when an animal has children, it's possible to make a case that they are sacrificing themselves for some other entity, right? This is what Dawkins is claiming with the selfish gene. But notice how it's very, very specific what kind of actions they're doing. They're not helping any kind of random individual, but they're helping their own offspring. So it's very, very specific what kind of individual they are investing in.
Yes, and we're humans. We're not those animals. We have the volition and the capacity to.
But it sounds like you're praising the act of sort of disobeying our nature as something wonderful. We have the capacity to go against our nature.
But no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm saying we have the capacity. I'm not saying I'm not praising it, but I'm saying that we have the capacity to choose. To choose exactly. So that refutes the idea that we are born with innate ideas.
Absolutely.
Like
innate ideas.
Like religion. Like you said, religion is in our genes.
I don't understand why this is difficult to get across. I have repeatedly stated that we're not born with innate ideas, including religious ideas.
Yeah, but you said in the comment
under the religion, and I keep on saying that we have the urge to be religious. That is innate, but not the ideas. In what way am I not clear?
Okay.
How can I explain this better so that this comes across?
So, Onar, are you claiming that in the future, when we're all objectivists, people will still be born and have a desire for a larger narrative?
Yes, because it's in our genes. Now, we have a choice. We can't. Ayn Rand said it. It basically said this, that we can't choose not to have a philosophy, but we can choose which philosophy we have, right? And I'm saying, as part of that, what Ayn Rand said, we can choose not to have a narrative, a story, but we can choose which story we make our own.
Okay, Onar, this is what you said in the comment section.
Yes.
You said it was an aha moment for me when I realized that religion is partly in our genes,
Yes.
and it is not so easy to get rid of.
Yes. That's what precisely, and I'm saying,
Yeah.
if you understood the religion here to mean,
Why didn't you say that we have principle? We have the urges to become principled, but even that, I would say that we can still go against our urges to be principled.
That would be hard. You would have to do it on principle, and that would be hard.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could go against being
I'm
principled.
emphasizing that religion is the thing that was naturally selected, is because before we became rational beings, first we were pre-rational, and it started out as religion.
So religion's a hangover.
Yes, religion is the thing that was selected for thousands of years and influenced our genes, so that we became attuned to religion. Now, in the future, that may change.
I still don't agree with that. I don't think religion reproduces, goes and travels down our genes. I don't think.
Not the ideas, not ideas.
What is religion then? If it's not,
it's just the need to be principled, the urge to be principled.
You did not say that in the comment.
I'm sorry. Then I understand. I should have been more clear in the comments.
Well, that's what this discussion is for, is to iron out these. We're on the cutting edge here. We're working with Jordan Peterson type stuff right at the edge here.
Yeah, so that means we're sloppy with the language,
which is a very dangerous thing to do without grounded in principles.
You seem to be slightly religious, new intellectual, in your you don't want any heresy. We have a body of catechisms here. We've got.
I don't want any deviations.
We don't want any deviation, right?
Yeah,
We've got our central body of truth. We don't want anybody leaving the faith.
Because this is not a faith.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could see the parallels, though, right? Between religion and, I mean, it's not religion, it's principled thinking as such that we're talking about.
But there are urges.
I know this is the truth. This is the truth because it's based on the axioms of the self-evident truth, which is A is A, identity exists, existence exists. This is true.
Well, they know Jesus is true because they felt him in their heart.
Yeah, I did not feel it in my heart. I know this because I can see, I can perceive.
I'm just trying to draw the parallel with religion here, I mean, that all human beings seem to behave in this same basic way.
Because religion was a primitive way of understanding the world.
Yeah, and it's
I do understand that was the use of that time, but it should not be. It should be discarded now because.
Okay.
You don't agree with that?
No. I agree with that, but I think the crux here is the comment that there was a misunderstanding, that you understood me to mean that actual religious ideas are passed on through the genes, and that is absolutely not what I was saying. I do not.
Why did you say it's an aha moment for me?
It was. Let me tell you when I.
You were in objectivism for a very long time, and you never knew that objectivism just gained innate ideas.
Can you repeat the last sentence? There was a bad connection now.
That you were an objectivist for a very.
I am still an objectivist.
Yeah, and you're still an objectivist. I think you're a seasoned objectivist, which I condemn. But they say that when you said that you are a very old objectivist, you never knew that religion, that the idea that religion and philosophies that objectivism preaches against the idea that ideas are innate or religion is innate. Why did it? Was the aha moment for me?
I've been reading up on evolutionary biology and including the evolutionary theories surrounding the emergence of religion. And the evidence is pointing quite strongly towards that religion evolved through natural selection. And I'm not talking about one specific religion, but the practice of religion.
Yeah, cultures evolved through cultures and through natural selection, through means, other things. They evolved their practitioners. They're not in our genes though.
The ideas
they are in our
cultures.
cultures.
Yes, the ideas are not in our genes.
So your statement, which is, I realize that religion is partly in our genes. You even said partly in our genes, so that means you say that there is some sort of idea in our genes, but not all, but part in our genes.
I don't know how to explain this more clearly. That the comment that you are very hung up on, and now I finally find out why you have such animosity. It's that my meaning did not come across. I should have been more precise in my language, saying something along the line that the urge to be religious, the religious tendency, the religious urge, or something like that, is partly in our genes. That is what I should have said. I said religion because I thought it was clear from context, because I made it very clear.
And you also realize that the evolutionary studies that you're reading, they are coming from scientists who are not objectivists. They are determinists, basically. They're biological determinists. They have a very wrong view. And
I did go through the evolutionary arguments for why religion is genetic in part. And the reason is the following. If you can find practices that you find in every single culture on planet Earth, then that likely has a genetic component. So for instance, we find language in all human societies. And because we find language in all human societies, then we conclude that it's very likely that language is an innate capacity in humans and a tendency, that we are born with a language organ, so to speak. We learn language and it's partially genetically based.
I would say language is a tool. I would say language is a tool that we humans create, which we humans created out of necessity. And there were some cultures that did not use language. They used some other type of tools. They've gone extinct. It was a very useful tool.
Well,
language is a very useful tool.
Language is written in our brain now. We've got language centers in our brain, so it's integrated as part of us now.
Yeah, but a baby is not born with language.
No.
He's not born with this set of grammars. He can notice and pick things up, but he's not born with language. He's not born with ideas. He's born a clean slate, tabula rasa. And if he's provided with the tool of language and the tool of philosophy and the tool of principled ideas, he can thrive better. With a baby who's not provided with these tools, he can function in the modern society that we created. We created a society that we need these type of tools. We need language. We need philosophy. We need principles to to be successful and happy in our lives. But they're not born in our genes. These ideas are not in our genes. These tools are not in our genes. Religion is not in our genes.
No, the capacity, the desire to think in principle is in our genes.
And,
yeah, but that was not made clear in that comment.
I know it was not made clear in the comment. Apparently, you misunderstood that. So now we're clarifying this.
And I did not understand that. You wrote it very badly. You should write that.
I can accept that if you say so. Apparently, you misunderstood it. So apparently, I did not write it very clearly.
And also the fact that you do not bash religion as an objectivist should bash religion, because you and I, we both know that what is the result, what is the consequence of religion. You also said in that same was it the same video where I said,
yeah, I told Onar, I said, I don't want to go back to religion. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back.
Yeah. You MrCropper made it very clear. But you were very. Oh, I'm talking to Onar. You were very clear that the inevitable. You need to have this. This is good.
Now, okay, let me be very clear. What I said was inevitable. I don't think we can avoid in the very like the foreseeable future that religion is going to be part of us. If people stop believing in one religion, they're going to invent another. It's environmentalism, it's whatever it is. It's going to be something else. And it's because people have a very strong urge. Now, we can counteract that with objectivism, but it's a hard job and it takes a long time. And in the meantime, the world is on fire.
Well, what are your practical steps in the immediate future once we take this on board, whatever you're trying to give us here?
Me?
Yeah. I mean, what effects do you want this to have on objectivists and how they behave today?
Well, I think that some kind of outreach to Christians explaining objectivism to Christians and translating it back and forth so that there people in the Christian community see that some of their ideas have a basis in they don't have to reject a lot of the ideas they already believe in, and they can hold on to those and go when they bring them over to objectivism, right?
Okay.
So, for instance, when a new intellectual said that he doesn't care if the human race just ceases to exist, that's a no-go statement for like 50 million people in America, right? If they heard that sentence, then they say objectivism is toxic. I don't want to have anything to do with it, just based on that single statement alone. So if they heard someone saying that if objectivism is so suicidal that it doesn't care about the future generations, then they want nothing to do with it.
Objectivism is not suicidal. Objectivism, because you're looking at it as the whole human race as a collective.
No,
why don't you understand?
No, not the human
Why don't you understand
race.
Why don't you understand that these religions they see themselves as collectivists? Their philosophies of collectivists.
Well, I happen to know a lot of Christians, and if I compare them to, for instance, to leftists, progressives, statists, postmodernists, they are very individualistic. They are not like the typical Christian in America that I know. Like I know a few. And
because they're influenced by Enlightenment ideology. They're influenced by Enlightenment philosophy.
maybe, but isn't it strange?
The essential of Christianity is very collectivist. The essential of Christianity is very to care for your brother.
There are those elements in Christianity. Yes.
Sacrifice. Yes. It's. Remember, all these postmodernism, all this nonsense.
Yeah.
They all came from Christianity. They all came down from this whole disintegrated culture came down from the misintegration of Christianity.
I do agree with that.
Which was secularized by Enlightenment thinker of Immanuel Kant. He secularized
I do agree with that. That like progressivism, communism, all of these isms that we don't like, they have a large heritage from Christianity. They're like this sick, evil, twisted sibling of Christianity, definitely. Now, isn't it strange then that Christianity now is where you find people who are least affected by these sick versions of Christianity?
Because that was the why it was influenced. Because that is the fact that it was influenced by Enlightenment. Remember when MrCropper said to Rocca that, and I agree with that statement, you are better today if you're reading the Bible and going to church. You're better. I do that statement, but my standard is not.
New Intellectual, you're breaking up pretty bad. Maybe you should click out and reload or something, because you're breaking up so bad it's hard to make your sentences out.
Can you hear me?
We can barely hear you.
Yeah, but your voice is computerizing. It's just going like this.
So it would be like it's very bad.
I can hear you, but
we can barely hear you.
Yeah.
Let me go out.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think this is going pretty smoothly here, Onar. I mean, he's 1 year into objectivism, so we got to give him credit for starting out on these ideas. All right, let's try the sound. How?
Can you hear me, guys?
Oh, much better.
It's much better. Yeah.
Much better.
Okay. So I was saying that I remember when MrCropper rightly said that you are better off when you're reading the Bible and going to church to rock up. You know, in today's culture, it is so disintegrated that you're better than when you're reading the Bible and going to church.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. But that is not my standard. My standard is, and which is the objectivist standard, that you're better when you're following objectivism and reading Atlas Shrugged.
I don't think that MrCropper was saying that this is an ideal situation of any kind, that this is desirable, that people should go to church. It was actually, I understood this to be a complete condemnation of the culture. It tells you a lot about how bad the culture is right now, that you can get more reason and integration by going to church than to a university.
Yeah,
so it's not a statement of how good Christianity is. It's a statement of how
bad the culture
and academia is.
Yes, but where I disagree with your tactics, Onar, is that you're trying to make objectivism seem like another type of religion, which these Christians want to accept.
No. That's not my tactic, and I've tried to avoid like falling into that pit. Apparently, that's not so easy to avoid that. I'm trying to make it clear that objectivism is definitely not a religion.
It is not, but you're trying to make it sound like the metaphor. You're trying to find parallels, trying to make metaphors, metaphorical language. It's not working. It will not seduce the Christians to become objectivists. We just have to present our principles like there are.
Okay,
And if they don't like it, they can move on.
So here's what I'm working on at the moment. You can say what you think about this. I'm working on 2 books that are aimed at Christians.
Oh God.
Did you just say, "Oh God"?
Yes, I said, oh God, because I have to invoke some higher power.
I got you there, yeah. Okay, so the first one is called Evolution for Christians or for conservatives. So there, in that book, I'm going to argue very strongly why they have been seduced by Karl Marx to reject evolution, and that they should give evolution a second chance, because all conservative principles that they like is supported by evolution. That's the short version of it. And I've tested it out. I've pushed it on a few Christians, and I've gotten amazingly good responses to it. So now, just based on that alone, would you say that it's a good or bad idea to try to get Christians to accept evolution and reject creationism?
No.
That's not a good idea?
No. You know why? Because they would rationalize it. They would say, "Oh, it was all along in our Bible. Evolution was all along in our Bible. It's the most scientific text out there." They will work their way and make it incorporated in their religion, and then just present their religion as the scientific religion.
You don't think that would be a better world to live in with Christians who believed in evolution?
Oh no.
I certainly think that's much better.
No. Karl Marx believed in evolution, but he was following the principles of religion. He can say that he was an atheist, but he was following the principles of a secularized version of religion. He believed in reason and evolution. That is the whole conclusion. These conservatives, they will end up using reason and all these good enlightenment ideas for their own corrupt philosophies. Why didn't you factor that point in? Why didn't you think that they will end up using it for their own benefit? It's the Islam basically thrives in the West because they say, oh, there was a golden age of Islam, but that golden age was basically Aristotle's age. But they don't say it's the golden age of Greek philosophy in the Arabic when Arabs rediscovered. They say it was the golden age of Islam.
I hear you.
And this is the propaganda, and that's the propaganda that these conservatives are going to go with. They're going to say, oh well, all these rational, reasonable ideas, these enlightenment ideas, they were in our Bible all along.
Okay, well, yeah. Case in point is Thomas Aquinas, who they take a lot of credit for in the Catholic Church. They say Aquinas and reason, and we say no, that's Aristotle. That's Aquinas.
Yeah, that's exactly, and they end up using for the bad ideas.
Now, isn't the Catholic Church better for having embraced Aristotle?
I think that it was a good trend.
It was an improvement over Saint Augustine.
Yeah. I think that was a good trend, but I think that inevitably it was it led to church with very to argue for very bad ideas as well.
Well, so Aquinas was better than Augustine. Darwin is better than Aquinas or Augustine.
Yes.
I agree with this.
They were pushing it. It was because that was the only school. The church was the only school.
So let's go to the religious people and tell them about how evolution can exist within their belief structure. And then once they believe in evolution, they'll turn around and see that their belief structure is sort of evaporated around them. and they're left with nothing but
No,
reality, nothing but reality.
when you tell them when you tell them that evolution exists in their belief structure, they'll incorporate it and they'll say, oh, okay. If they accept the idea that evolution is in their belief structure, they will say, well, okay, then we don't have to give up our religion.
That's what
it is the
but that is actually not what I'm saying, that it's in their belief structure. What I'm saying is that conservative values,
which are very bad values.
No, they're not. Having a family, is that a bad? Having
a family for a duty reason, it's a very bad value.
For a duty reason, yes, but that's not what they. When they say conservative values, they're not saying that you should have a family just for duty. They want to pass their genes to, and for that, those type of things. Yeah, I mean that's a very bad reason to have a family. That's not selfish at all. To pass down your genes and stuff like that's basically your. But building a building is.
Huh?
But building an architecture is like that
goes to the future, right?
Yeah, no, but that is for your own selfish interest. If you like to design buildings, that is your selfish interest. And if you like to
having children,
that is your selfish interest.
Yes. Now, conservatives like having children, and they teach their children to like having children, and they to value they treasure the mother as the role of the mother as something great.
Yeah, but it should not be a duty bound thing. Yeah, conservative. We don't want conservatism. We want objectivism.
That is true, but there are values within the conservative framework that are positive, such as having a family,
which is also in objectivism, to have a family for selfish reason.
Yes. Now, what I'm saying is that I'm not saying here that this is exclusive to conservatism or to conservatives. I'm saying that if you ask an average Christian today, the reason he believes in God and believes in Jesus is not all the woo-woo. It's because Jesus or Christianity says that it's good to have a family, to have to think.
It gives them a meaning. Yeah, it gives them a meaning.
It gives them a meaning of having a family.
We're giving him a better meaning, which is his happiness.
Yes.
We're giving him objectivism. We're not giving him a conservatism mixed with evolution, mixed with some form of mysticism.
If I now go out, and I've tried this, if I try to teach objectivism or preach objectivism to Christians, they typically reject it. Most Christians.
Yeah, sure. They can reject it. They have.
But I do think that most Christians easily can convert to evolutionism, to Darwin.
Yeah, we're not converting them as we're begging them to become objectivists. We are here to give them our principles, present them our principles as nicely as we can, with as politely as we can. But we're not going to say, well, here you go. There's a little enlightenment ideas. Here you go. Because back in the day, why this was effective, why Aquinas was effective, is because that was the only way the religion was the only school to provide you with these. There was other schools were banned. Secularism was banned. Now we have a secular idea. We don't need to pander to religious philosophies to make them a little better. We can just provide them with objectivist principles.
But here, I'm not talking about pandering to Christians. I'm talking about actually having Christians value and treasure evolution as scientific theory.
Yeah, and
How is that?
Most Christians they do value this.
No, not in America. There's creationism is very dominant in America, and there's a specific reason for it. It's because of Karl Marx.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, we don't have to. Karl Marx was also a person who was going with the religious principles. So we don't have to. We don't have to present them the religion version of evolution, because.
But I'm not saying the religion version. I'm just saying that they don't, just because you believe in evolution. Just like are you unhappy with Christians believing in the Newton's laws? Do you think that's a bad thing?
No, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a.
So why is it not a good thing if they also believe in evolution?
Then why? The thing is that they can believe in evolution, and most Christians do believe in evolution.
No, not in
Christians,
America.
No, they're taught evolution. They're taught.
But they don't believe in it.
Most Christians believe in evolution more than Muslims do.
Okay, I see. But like in America, creationism is very widespread.
And yeah, but evolution is taught in our schools.
Absolutely.
It is taught in our schools. We don't need to mix evolution and religion.
But how is it mixing? Like, how is it mixing religion and evolution? What I'm saying in this book that I'm planning to write to specifically conservatives is that you don't have to reject the idea of God.
That's the thing. They have to. That's the thing.
In order to accept evolution.
Yeah, they will. You're giving them comfort that they don't have to reject it. You're giving them this comfort of that they don't have.
No, what I'm saying is that it doesn't logically follow from evolution that there is no God.
No, evolution makes it unnecessary for having no God because it's not intelligent design.
You might say that, but okay, there's a big debate about that actually bubbling up in the evolution community now, because there's so much weird going on with evolution. So yeah. I wouldn't actually say that assumption is safe either. But just generally speaking,
but why not? Why don't you just present objectivism? Why can't you just go and present the principled objectivism?
I tried that. Everyone has tried that. It doesn't work.
What do you mean doesn't work?
They will not change.
You don't need them to change.
If they want to be objectivist, yeah.
No, I don't want them to be objectivist No, I don't want them to be an objectivist as I want to convert them like a religious person would convert them. I want them to present the objectivist principles, and if they want to take it, they can take it. If they don't want to take it, it's not in their benefit. I just want them to present the objectivist principles like how Dr. Leonard Peikoff presented people, and most people are attracted to him. You know how many intellectuals Miss Ayn Rand condemned? She condemned Milton Friedman, who was a staunch capitalist of that time. But but because he was not integrated, she had to condemn him. He was presenting capitalism as a defense of altruism. He was doing what you are doing. You're saying, well, you don't have to disagree with God on the matters of evolution. Well, Milton Friedman said that you don't have to disagree with altruism.
No, I think Onar is simply saying we agree with the religious people on more grounds than we've been really realizing.
But it is the problem. But the religion, it is the problem. That's the misintegration. We're closer to misintegration than disintegration, but we're better than misintegration.
We are closer to misintegration than disintegration.
I agree with that. The misintegrated people are closer to us than the disintegrated people. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, but we're better than misintegrated people.
Absolutely.
And misintegration begets in disintegration. Misintegration begets disintegration. We see that through religion begetting Platonic philosophy, secular Platonic philosophy, and then Kantian philosophy, and then communism. Misintegration begets disintegration. That's why I'm saying present them the integration, which is objectivism as it is. And if they don't want to take it, they can leave.
I'm not against that, and there are lots of people doing that right now. So we're already doing that.
Yes.
So I'm not against that. Why not do that? Sure, go ahead.
Yes, and that's the only way to do it. And that's the only way. We should not become the new Jordan B. Peterson. We're not. First of all, I think he's a very intelligent person. But I disagree with him. I think he's the mystic of our rotten culture, and he's leading people astray.
In one sense, you're right that he is leading people astray, and that part I am unhappy with, that he is the one getting all the attention, not objectivism. And then I'm starting, what I've done is I'm trying to unpack why is he, what exactly is he tapping into that objectivism fails to tap into. And what he's tapping into that objectivism is not, is the meaning crisis. That objectivism refuses for some reason to provide meaning to people, like a path to meaning. And this is very puzzling to me because objectivism is a life-affirming philosophy. So therefore, that's why I'm looking at Jordan Peterson and see what is he doing that is correct, or
that's because objectivism does provide meaning. It does provide and even labels what's meaning. Our meaning and our purpose is our happiness in our life. That's our meaning. But what Jordan B. Peterson is doing is he's providing what is the grand meaning, or some sort of evolutionary, mystical evolutionary, or maybe even he would even put some God in there too, that type of meaning. And he's saying, well, you need to be that person, you need to follow that way of life. That's what he's doing, and he's very successful because he's targeting Christians. Yeah, he's targeting Christians. He's targeting people who are already religious, or people who are atheists, but they followed some sort of, but they still have the essentials of religion in them, the vestigial organs. What I can say, the vestigial ideas of religion in them, and he's preaching to those people, and he's preaching to the masses. But I'm not concerned with if objectivism is not preaching to the masses. I'm not concerned with that. I'm concerned with people teaching objectivism in a principled way.
But there are already lots of people.
Yeah, and that's what we should do. We need more Peikoffs of our time. We need more we need Ayn Rands of our time, who were very influential. We don't need Jordan B. Peterson. We don't need these type of intellect. We don't need Ben Shapiro.
Well, we don't need him, but Jordan Peterson's definitely on the scene. So what do we think about the fact that he's on the scene and what he's saying?
We should refute him. We should refute him and say, well, you are wrong. You're wrong on these ideas. We do appreciate that you took some stance against SJWs, but we totally disagree with you, and we should debate him or refute him. I don't even think that we should debate him. I think we should just present our ideas as it is, just like what he's doing. He's presenting his ideas as it is.
Like, I can just tell you, like, when based on what I know about a lot of people, that when you said that you don't care if the human race ends or if a 4 billion year long heritage just
Because
stops.
yeah, I don't think of human race as a collective.
Because you have a selfish orgasm. That is something that is so off-putting, and if you present that to people, this is your idea of a good philosophy, they reject it offhand, and they never ever want to hear of an objectivist ever again.
My idea is the selfish happiness in your lifetime, which is yeah.
Okay. And what I'm saying is that if you don't include the balls in your identity, then
I do include the balls but they give me pleasure.
But that's the thing. If you reduce objectivism down to simplistic hedonism,
no, that's what I'm against it. I'm saying I am for the long-term goals, but within my lifetime. I don't care about my race. I don't care about my people.
I understand that, but when I've never talked about race or something like that. I'm talking about lineage, and then I'm talking about
same thing. No. You're looking at as a collective.
Family.
Yeah, same thing. My family, my race, my traditions. They're all apart from us, apart from me.
Okay, let's put it this way. The people who got you here, if they had a message from you,
that's a lifeboat ethics. Yeah, that's a lifeboat ethics.
I understand, but if they had been able to watch a message from you in the future, that you said that you don't care about the future lineage and you're going to be an architect and don't care about anything about the future, would they have done what they did in order to make sure that you came into existence?
Maybe they did, or maybe they wouldn't.
I think that the attitude you're putting off is so off-putting to so many people.
Because I'm saying that they're not duty-bound to produce me, or I'm not duty-bound to produce my children.
Yes, I understand, and we agree on that when we talk about duty. And I've never said anything about duty.
Are you fortunate that they produced you, though? Right? I mean, should you be grateful that they produced you? Right, Onar? You want to point towards being grateful for it.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy that they did. I'm happy they produced me. But
how do you repay the favor of being produced by your parents?
How am I going to return the favor?
Yeah. Genetically, what does it mean to return the favor of being produced?
It means
you mean that I should also have children to keep my progeny as a no? That's not one of my plans.
Why do you reject that? You're the one who drew the conclusion, so you can see the conclusion there, right?
Yeah, but it's not my plans. It's not something that I am considering right now.
Well, can you?
I mean, I want to have a romantic partner, but I'm not thinking of. Oh yeah, I should pass my genes as a form of duty.
I think
to my parents.
Mentioning that you're still young and you still have lots of time to make such a choice, so it's not something that's very burning issue.
But did you notice, MrCropper and Onar, that you said that I'm returning as a favor to my parents? You see how it is a duty bound. You're making it seem as it's duty bound that me having it, like I having a child, is a sort of a duty towards my parents or towards me, my race, or towards my people.
Returning the favor of being produced?
Yeah, that's a I can do that. I can do productive things. That's for me, for myself, for my happiness. I'm not returning any favor. I'm not going to be a slave to my family to produce more kids.
Well, I think if Onar's vision were to win, then in the future, objectivists would look at a childless person and they would sort of go, tut tut, he's missing out on a little bit of the fun stuff in life.
Well, I think if, but there are other objectivists who think that that having kids have values, so they can do it. I mean, it's why am I concerned about having children of if someone is having children or they're not having a children? Why am I concerned about that?
Well,
that's their private lives.
If we're going to use it like creationist language here, you were designed to have children. From an evolutionary perspective,
yeah,
every fiber in your body spells make babies.
Yeah,
yes,
and protect them and provide for them and teach them and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have volition, I have free will to not to do that and just I have free will not to have children. I have free will to just enjoy sex. So that's it. I don't have the to produce more children.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
And I can. That's why I use those genes that urges me to reproduce. I do believe that's a biological truth, but I don't think that's my philosophical.
If you use those genes only for your own pleasure, then you are reducing your own nature to some kind of hedonistic. Simplistic hedonism.
That's not short-term value. That's not short-sightedness. That's for my life. I won't exist after. I won't exist when I would die.
That is true.
Yeah. So when I die, I won't exist anymore. It doesn't matter if I produce any kids or not. Yeah. My genes will survive, but it doesn't matter to me.
I don't think we're going to get so much further here.
I mean, it's not in my selfish interest to have. I think MrCropper has children. I think it's in his selfish interest. If he chose to have a kid, that's his selfish interest to have kids. And if he's responsible to provide for his children too. Yeah.
I'm not going to for you. But you're an individual, you make your own choices. I'm just saying that the normal case for humans is to have children. And that is the normal path of self-realization to become a true human being. Because so much of our biology is linked up to that activity. We're honed for it. It's in our genes, literally, to do that.
To reproduce, yes. It's in our genes to reproduce. But I'm saying that
it's part of our nature.
Yeah, but it should not be. It should not be our. It should not be our
duty.
Duty or philosophical happiness. Our happiness can come from having children, but it's not. It's not mainly. Okay. Just like a person is not duty bound to become an engineer. Become an engineer.
Let me ask a silly question here. Is it your duty to be happy?
No.
But you say you should be happy.
I should be happy, but if it's not my duty. No, if it becomes a duty, then I would not be happy.
Actually, in fact, I think Kant says that it's your duty to be happy, which is interesting.
Yeah, because it would not be happy. You would not be happy if it's your duty to be happy. For example, if someone says it's your duty to watch a movie, and you said that, and watching movies makes you happy sometimes, but not all the time. So when it becomes a duty, it becomes a burden.
Absolutely. So it doesn't really make sense to say it's your duty to be happy.
Yeah. So it's not your duty to, because it won't be happiness then.
That's right. So
because happiness is selfish interest.
But you can say that it's moral to be moral to be
Yeah.
happy.
Yes,
And
moral to be
therefore,
happy.
you should try to be happy.
Yeah, you should. Which is, it's moral to be happy. But but it's not duty to be happy. People will argue it's your duty to be happy in communist states,
Yes.
communist countries. It's your duty to be happy, and they will even make propagandas. People are happy. Look, they're smiling everywhere, but they will make propaganda art.
So I will argue
but
that
it's not that.
I will argue that the normal thing for humans is that they should have children. There are exceptions, but the normal way for humans to flourish is to have children. That's the normal path to happiness.
If that's not the only path to happiness, but
Agreed.
But that is if you want to be a father or a mother, you can be. I mean, there is value in it. I'm not saying there is no value in it. I'm saying that but doing it just so that your genes may survive or that you live on forever. That's not moral, and it's a duty-bound thing. So.
But you seem very hung up on that's why you do it. But what I'm saying is that being selfish means to act in accordance with your biological nature. That is what to be self-interested means. And your biological nature is to have children.
No, not all the time.
Well, not your biological nature is not to eat food all of the time, and it's not to sleep all of the time. But your biological nature includes eating food and sleeping.
It does. I do agree with that.
So a holistic approach to it would include somewhere having kids. Then.
Yeah, I would, but it's not that it's a. I'm not, but I'm trying to separate it from duty.
I knew he was going to say duty.
We like that.
Yeah. We can't. You don't have a duty to be happy, of course.
And you don't have a duty to have children.
Yeah, and having children does not make you necessarily happy, or
not necessarily. No.
So.
Just like it doesn't necessarily make you happy to become an engineer or an architect.
No, if you want to become an architect and if you want to have children, then having children will make you happy. If you want to become an architect, then becoming an architect will make you happy. But if you don't want to become an architect but you still force yourself to become an architect like Peter Keating, then you're not happy.
Indeed.
If you force yourself.
My only claim here is that I'm not saying that it's a duty, but it's
a good thing.
It's so much in our nature to have children that for most people, this is the normal path to happiness.
It's a good thing. It's a value to have. I agree with you on the part that that having children is a value. Becoming an architect is a value. Becoming an engineer is a value, but not everyone has to be all of these things.
It seems like we are in agreement here, so that's fine. I like where we're at. I think I have to end now because I have to go to bed because it's very late here.
All right.
But, I think that this was.
But there are still disagreements.
Of course. But we have some points of agreements, and that's good to hear. So I think that it has been a productive conversation. What do you say, MrCropper?
I think it was good. I think we cleared up. I think we cleared up at least where the misunderstandings are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we
the specific comment about religion in our genes.
Before you go, I would like to give you an advice from a person who's not an intellectual yet, who's not a philosopher. I would like to, and I think you guys both are very intelligent, very insightful. I want you guys to be sticking towards the principles. I don't want you guys to go into mystical woo-woo language and not and leave objectivism.
Oh, I have no plans of leaving objectivism.
But yeah,
so,
but it may result in leaving objectivism or corrupting your ideas, because I hear criticisms, and I think I agree with some of those criticisms that the movement just became some sort of a neoconservative type of conservative light type of boomer movement, which MrCropper, I respect him so much because he was the original oldest objectivist one of the oldest objectivists on the YouTube channel, and his content is very good. I take so much lesson from him. I think what you guys need to do is you need to stick to the principles as you can, as fundamentalist, like an extremist to these principles, because these principles are true. They're based on perception. They're based on observation. They're not based on faith. So you have to stick to these principles.
What you're saying here is true, and I think I have done my best, at least, to be. It's a little bit. I'm using it in a secular sense, but I'm trying to be faithful to the principles,
yes,
because they are true, right? But at the same time, as a thinker, this is one of the things that you may discover as you become an intellectual yourself, and not just sort of trying to absorb the intellectual framework of someone else, like Ayn Rand. It's that you will feel a need to expand beyond what you know, because one of the key criticisms of objectivism has been that it hasn't spawned an intellectual revolution. There are very few, let's call it them, intellectual offsprings from Ayn Rand who have added. There is some valuable work by Peikoff and by Binswanger and by others.
I think I would have to disagree with you over here, because I think objectivism is very influential, even with the Christians. They cite Ayn Rand for capitalist governments. They cite Ayn Rand for the argument of free will.
That I agree with.
And Ayn Rand was never and she never compromised. Libertarians love Ayn Rand, and Ayn Rand never pandered towards libertarians. She never liked libertarians.
True.
They like her. She was the standard by herself. Like, this is what I love about her. She never bent towards these people, to adapt to their other ideas. She was the standard. She was the strong woman, and people bend towards her. She didn't bend to anyone else. She was the standard. Now, why can't we be that standard? Why can't we be that so strong in principle that people bend towards us? They follow us.
Well, what has Onar proposed that doesn't go in that direction? He's just saying that there are more things in common with religion than we realized.
Well, because that means that basically you're giving into the mystical language of religion, which is
no. I think,
and he said, when you asked him the question that would you say that religion is ultimately poison, he said that he would not say that.
Let me explain. I looked at that, and that's actually a good point. The reason I didn't want to say that religion is ultimately poison is two reasons. It's because religion has a poisonous component to it because it's misintegrated, but it has a large body to it that is also within the religion that is not poisonous, that is bundled together with the poison.
And that is because of the Enlightenment philosophy. That religion in itself is bad. It was just affected by the Enlightenment philosophy. That is why you see that good, and you cannot distinguish that type of that goodness is coming from enlightenment. You're thinking that the goodness is coming from religion in itself. So you have to distinguish between what was the good and what was the evil. The evil is religion in itself. Everything about it.
Well, what about the Eastern religions that didn't go through the Enlightenment? They have some facsimile of moral behavior as well.
What kind of, like what?
Karma.
Yeah, karma is a very mystical thing. It's bad.
Yeah, but it tells you not to be immoral because you'll pay for it.
It makes you duty bound to not be immoral. You know why I'm not immoral? Because it's gonna hurt me in the end.
Do you know why some people who believe in karma aren't immoral? Because they believe it's going to hurt them in the end.
No, they think that there's a force outside that will hurt them in the end, which is basically a mystical consciousness.
Well, they're right.
I don't think that there is a consciousness outside.
No, they're right. They're right. There is a force outside of them that will hurt them if they're bad, and that force is reality.
Yeah, the consequences of their actions if they're not moral.
Yeah,
that is why I was talking about rational karma, right?
Yeah,
when you secularize karma, take away.
But don't make that woo language. And we already have those terms in objectivism. We have terms in objectivism that declare. We don't need to make those karma as an objectivist term to pander to or to convince religious people.
I'm using it more or less because it's the best word I know that conveys the content of that. Like what it.
The better word would be consequences. The better word would be consequences of your immoral actions or your moral actions would.
So, but okay, yes, but what would you call that? Like everything?
I would not call it karma. Because karma has a specific meaning. That's why people say, thinking. Some people conflict thinking with meditation. Meditation is not thinking. Meditation is basically ruining your mind with sort of egolessness, non-egoistic ideas. But it looks like a person is thinking, so they call it meditation is just peaceful, calm thinking, which is not. I would rather sleep than meditate, which actually helps and recharge my brain cells. But so please, I would have to strongly advise you guys not to use religious language in order to promote objectivism.
I see your point. I do. I'm just looking for a better word than karma.
Which is consequences.
No, it doesn't convey the meaning.
Why not? Why are you still giving them the religious ideas, religious language? These words have meaning. They will use it in a wrong meaning. They will use these words.
This is one of the reasons, there are so many things, words and metaphors and songs that are within the religious tradition that has they have so much cultural heritage to build upon that we lack.
But we can.
Do you, for instance, think that we should never ever sing Christmas songs?
Oh no, I like Christmas.
Should we give up
Christmas?
Bach's or Mozart's Messiah?
No.
So we can still listen to music that's created specifically for religious purposes.
Yeah, we can celebrate. Yeah, we can, and I would even go further. I would say we should celebrate Christmas. We should celebrate Christmas, and that's and you were saying
very religious.
Yeah, but I'm saying that we
Christ Mass.
Yeah,
Mass.
But I'm saying it that we should use it in what's the objectivist meaning of that is,
But if
which is secular, which is gift giving, which is love sharing. Giving your love. Yeah, a Christmas
listen. 2 minutes ago, you said we should not use a religious language in any form. Christmas is religious language.
To convey some concepts, to convey these philosophical concepts. Yes.
So concepts is off limit, but you can use songs, and you can use words that are Christians. You can say "Thank God." Or
You can you can say that. Even Ayn Rand said, "God bless America."
Yes.
She said in an interview, she said, "God, I would." Why? Because she thought that. But she made it clear in that same meaning, in the same interview, that she said that I don't believe in it, but I think the meaning, which is I'm awestruck by this. It's an awesome expression, the greatest expression. But she made it clear.
Yeah.
The thing is, with these concepts should be very secular. They should be very, very precise. Not mystical language. So celebrate Christmas not because of Christ, not because because of Jesus Christ, but celebrate Christmas because it's a happy event. You can share gifts with your family, with your friends. You can go and have a party, enjoy time. That's Christmas. That's the essence of Christmas. The worldly desire of Christmas, not the spiritual of the ones that the Christians made it out to be of Christmas.
Well, I don't plan on becoming a religious objectivist nut. I think really this conversation was mostly for the purpose of understanding what's going on with Jordan Peterson and the phenomenon that he is around. Why is he filling stadiums? What's important about what he's doing? Why does it speak to people? Why is it important to speak to people? I think that's really what this whole religious conversation's about.
Exactly. And I think that it would be better for us, for you philosophers, which is your job to spread objectivism in a secular and precise way, not to give in to their type of language, but to give them a hair. So, see, this is the reality. Existence exists. Identity is real. A is A. So that is your job to say that.
Okay, so now the metaphor that I gave at the end of my talk with Onar, the metaphor I gave was, this is how to throw religion a bone. Just throw him a bone. Which is like give the dog a bone. It's not much, but give him something to chew on. But in order for them to get any meat on the bone, they're going to have a real philosophy. But we're at least giving them the teeny sliver of credit that inside of religion are some principles that allow religions to be better than nothing. That's
you can give them this credit, but it's not a good credit. No. It's not better than better than objectivism. That's not our standard. Our standard is to make them objectivist, to present them our philosophy. That's our standard.
Right. And this conversation points to the fact that they are actually a little closer to us than some objectivists realize. Some objectivists don't realize the belief in an objective reality that Christians have, the belief in honesty, the belief in reverence for things greater than just hedonistic whims. They believe in something greater than a hedonistic whim that is all that the D2 believe in. So
I don't believe in hedonistic whims, and I don't believe in becoming a sacrificial animal. Yeah. So, but I believe in true form of egoism, which is finding your happiness in your lifetime. not in someone else's lifetime, or you're passing down your genes and you're living vicariously in someone else's life.
But you're presenting it in a in a way that shows you that you've actually never had the experience of having children, because passing on your genes sounds like some kind of transaction that you will never see the benefit of, and it's very sterile. But what we're talking about is that you are becoming a creator. You create life, and not only in some abstract sense after you're gone. You get to see that life grow, and you get to shape it. You get to be the most important person in that.
I get to guide it to reality.
Yes.
Yes.
And you get to bond with it and form a bond that is incredibly strong. And if you behave like a decent human being, they will love you like no pet can ever love you, and they will bring you an immense amount of joy from the bottom of your heart. I think that MrCropper here can verify that this is an
true. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. I think that is a very wonderful view of life. But not everyone wants to become a philosopher. Not everyone wants to become an architect. Not everyone wants to become an engineer. So I will focus on my life in becoming an engineer, because that's what I like to do, and that's the machines that I build would be my babies.
Yeah, absolutely. That can be fulfilling.
Yeah.
However, what I'm just planting a seed in your mind is that
I have kids.
you might in the future find that the reason your ancestors built machines, or tools,
yes,
was because they wanted to be a hero in their families, their wife, and their children's lives. Bring back the product so that they can consume, so that you are creating life.
And you might also find that the machines that you're making are for people who are alive, for kids, for other people's kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but my main concern is not for the other people. I'm not making machines for the other people. I'm making machines, I'm fixing machines, I'm making it for myself. In the consequence, it will help the other people. Yeah, but it's not my main concern. My main concern is my selfish happiness, which I derive from application of reason in my field of area.
So, Onar, do you want people to raise kids and then send them out in the world and say, I don't really mind what they do after that, but I had fun raising them. That's what's really important to me, is that I had fun raising them.
Would you do that? Would you let them?
I mean, once they turn 18, you kind of say, I didn't do this for a larger purpose. I didn't do this for my duty. I didn't do this for society. I just raised them because it made me happy. Bye-bye, kids. See you when I turn 80. Come back and
or never come back. Or never come back.
I would want to have a continuous relationship with my children, like I have with my parents.
Yeah.
I've had a continuous relationship with them, and it's never felt like a duty. I try to do my best to help my children. Now, my parents, who are now old.
I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't mean that by it. I mean, you just have the kids for your own selfish desire, your own you. Is that okay if an objectivist just has kids because they want that? They want to have kids. They want the joy of raising kids.
Oh, now I see.
That's all they want out of it.
If that's what they would do,
they're not doing it for their lineage. They're not doing it for society. They're not doing it for God.
Yes.
That's fine.
That's the good way of having kids. That's the only.
But the thing is, if you feel like you are a hero in a story, then it's much more likely that you're going to get incredible, deeper fulfillment than if you do it for some very surface level
But
pleasure.
lineage is not. Yeah, but lineage is not a story.
It is.
Actually, it is.
It
It's
is.
literally a story.
I mean, no, it's not my story.
No, that could be, and I respect that.
Yeah, it's not my story, and it should not be a good. It's not. It should not be your story as well. You should not have kids for your lineage purpose. You should have kids for your selfish interest. That's
But
it.
what does that mean? What does that mean? Selfish interest.
That means you want to have the joy of raising kids, and that's it. And then let them be free and give them the principles so they can derive their they can apply those principles in reality, and they can guide themselves. But you let them free. You know,
Okay.
you're not having kids for your lineage or for your family.
Okay. I can just tell you from my own life.
That's the only objective way. That's the only.
No, but,
that's the
but
only
what
way.
I'm saying is that when you imbue your actions with meaning, they feel more joyful. Let me give you an example of that. When I'm eating a certain type of berries that are picked up in the Arctic, they're quite rare. These berries, they taste very good, and we have them in my family as part of, like, every day we have a little bit. But they taste extra good because I know that it's my own father who's picked those berries, one berry at a time, up in the Arctic, and he spent hours and hours, put lots of work to get these very rare berries. So I have a story connected to those that make those taste a little bit better. And the same, I had in one of my recent videos here, together with MrCropper, I said that I was cleaning up the stones with pressure water in the garden, and before this, I put all this effort and work into this. I didn't really appreciate it when they looked nice or when they were looked clean, but after actually having cleaned them myself and put all that effort into it, now I see them in a new light, and I appreciate their cleanliness in a deeper way than I otherwise would. So now there's a story attached to them.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. I agree with that. I think that there should be a distinction. Why do you appreciate? If you appreciate that those berries are picked up by your father, is because not because your father was a value to you, but your father was some sort of your ancestor, and you should love your ancestor as an ancestor worship. That would not be a good appreciation. But if your father was a value to you, that he taught you good principles in life, then that's a great value to worship him. To admire him, to appreciate his
well, yes,
his berries.
I was
just like how if Ayn Rand would give me an autograph, I would appreciate it, not because she's my mother, but because she has a value that she provided me with, and that's why I appreciate that autograph, those things, her books.
Absolutely. All I'm saying,
not because I have a blood connection with her.
But the blood connection does actually make a difference, and
I think it shouldn't.
Why shouldn't it? It's like you're saying it's immoral.
It's irrelevant.
It's a moral statement. So you're now actively saying out that you should separate connections to genetics.
Yeah.
Why?
I think it should. Blood is an irrelevant thing.
No, it's not. Why is that irrelevant?
Because it's not. Because
you are here because of blood.
Yeah, but I'm not duty bound towards it.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's relevant.
My blood. I told you, my ancestors contained some horrible people.
That's true. That's true.
that gave the world suicide bombings and 9/11. You know, those are my ancestors.
Yeah, you can't.
And
No,
I hate them.
Nobody gets out of having bad ancestors, because we've got Nazis and we've got, down in Africa, they've still got slavery. Nobody gets out of having bad ancestors. So
we all have bad ancestors.
Everybody,
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If I loved my blood, I would say, oh, I have to like them no matter what, because I'm here because of them.
But it's not love; it's gratitude. And it gives a certain depth and meaning to your life, knowing that you are an infinity being.
I'm gratitude that they have me, so that I can reject them now.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. Now, is that better? If they hurt me, they would probably be hurt, and I would love them to be hurt by this.
Well, as it seems to me, there's a clear reason for why you don't like this kind of conversation that we've had, because you have beefs with your ancestors. So I'm not going to do a major talk on that. I'm just going to suggest to you that maybe you are in the danger of doing some form of misintegration, because you are putting together your bad experiences with specific bad ancestors and the notion that ancestors are bad altogether. It's like
ancestor worship is bad altogether.
Well, yes.
To love your ancestors just because they're ancestors is also bad. Not worship, but to love your ancestor just because they're ancestors.
Okay, what about being grateful to your ancestors for putting you here?
Well, yeah, I am grateful that they did not choose me to, they did not choose my sperm specifically to be here. They gave millions of sperms, and one of those sperm is right here talking to you. So they did not specifically choose me to be here. But so I'm not saying that I am. Yeah, I am grateful that they had sex in that particular time. Like, I'm grateful to nature for because it's not conscious. I'm grateful to that nature selected some of the traits that made me possible over here. But what I'm truly grateful, what I'm truly in love with is ideas that, for example, Ayn Rand. I'm truly grateful to her. I'm truly in love with her. Yeah, I'm truly in love with her. Not because of she's my ancestor. It doesn't matter she was my ancestor. I love her because of her merit. I don't love her because of her blood relationship.
Amen.
Amen.
I can only say that we wholeheartedly agree on that. Even though I use a religious term, and we're not supposed to do that. But
in context, yeah.
Yes. So I can only say that I think we've reached some sort of agreement. There is some disagreement, and
with the terms of using religious terms to convey objectivism. That's the disagreement that I have, and also the loving of your blood just because it's your blood.
Well, I didn't say that. I didn't say you should love your blood. I said gratitude and to some degrees have some form of respect or reverence. That's not the same.
But it's not that degree of respect that I would give to Ayn Rand.
No.
I consider her to be the mother of my mind.
And that's a good thing. And that means that you have a story in your life, right? That's very good.
Yes. But I would not say that to love your blood just because it's your blood, or to be respectful to your blood just because it's your blood.
No, of course not. And it means if you have a horrible parents or whatever, then there's no reason for you to have respect for them as people specifically. But a general gratitude for being here.
Ayn Rand herself had that type of gratitude. She had gratitude towards her mother for sending her to America. That's the only thing that she recalled. I don't think she had that blood type of. I don't think she would go out and say, well, I like my parents because of their blood, because of the ancestors that she was born into. I don't think she would like that. She would like merit. She would like someone who is not related to her, but she might not related to her, but is has intellectual capabilities that provided her values.
Yeah, she definitely adopted Leonard Peikoff in a certain sense.
Yeah.
I mean, he's her intellectual heir, and he's not her blood, right? I mean,
yeah, he's not her blood, but I think she definitely liked him.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're starting to walk a little bit in circle here. I really have to go to bed.
All right. Thank you very much, Onar, for coming on and speaking.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the conversation.
Thank you for having a conversation. I hope that you learned some of the things from the advices that I gave you.
Think about, definitely.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And I would have to make it clear that if I see those mistakes again, I would have to boycott you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for
it's a matter of principles. Thank you for the conversation. Goodbye. All right, MrCropper.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
More?
You are breaking up again. Let's finish the video. Let me press unrecord, and then if you'll go back out and come back in, we'll chat for a minute if that's all right.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good.